agree.
Way a little mad.
I take two a leaf and don't worry about it.
Yeah, a little bit of run.
Two a leaf, that's all I do. And I live with them.
Yeah, but
I'm missing one big chunk right here.
154, 709.
It'll go back.
Yeah.
Son I got years ago.
What are you doing? I don't need that.
That's 154, 709.
Oh, okay, I'll buy that.
Oh, okay, I just,
Yeah, I think I said 154.6.
okay.
Yeah, so we were only $109 off.
And I went through and double checked our math.
I'll buy that,
All
Rob.
right.
Oh, you messed up.
What did I do?
Because that's what, you got without Rushton Road, and that's without Brewer's Corner too.
Oh, that's how, okay, that's how it came up with. And Brewers, right?
Yep, and Ballard and Howard.
All right.
Good thing I showed up, Rob.
Good job. That's why we check it.
In the bedroom.
Oh.
Well, hi, campers.
Hey there.
Hopefully I can get an answer for you, because then it doesn't get me in trouble.
Nothing's changed.
Huh?
Nothing's changed with that.
Cool, I like it that way then, Lyle, I'll answer it.
We didn't have any place to put it. Very simple.
Brian?
They didn't have any place to put it. That's just something
Nobody
we
should be
did.
concerned with my decision. I said, well, wait a minute. I said, still.
The flowers still alive in front of your place now, Brian? On White Falls? Because I took them down and put new ones up.
It seemed like that water line wasn't really bad.
It wasn't even working.
She's like,
I had to replace, that's what, you gotta replace 5 of them. I don't know how to do that irrigation.
I knew it wasn't.
I guess, I didn't know that. But I'm learning now how to do it.
There's somebody that down there. We got a commission out there, it's not
Pardon?
We're gonna do.
I'm on township board, yeah. Yeah, that's good enough. That's because they're putting a second lift down, that's all. So what Rico Riley will do is come in now and smooth it off where they put the patches into the new culverts, then they'll lay another layer on top of that. Yeah, they're overlaying, that's what they do, 2 inches overlay. And they're lining it at 8 feet. Each one gets 4 foot on each side. a, there's a
Should
lot,
be, having abandoned.
No.
a lot of towns that won't let the blacktoppers work unless it's belonging on this. Because of the tours. So, like, look at this one. You're close to the door as you can get, aren't you?
Up on the other side.
That's it.
My clock says 6:59, so I'll wait one more minute. Call meeting to order, rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Here.
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 Agenda, there's a couple amendments. D, under action items, is removed. And G, we're adding street repair bids. Any others?
I'd like to take off B, because it's just, everyone is just seeing this tonight. I'd like everyone to have a chance to look at it and bring it back next month as an action item. Thank you.
Any other changes? Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make that.
Support. Support from Chapman. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Approval of the minutes of June 10th, 2015.
The only question I had was regarding the buying the data box for Lyle, because we spent money. Do we need to include how much we spent in there, or is this just a FYI thing?
Hang on one second. We've got a public hearing. We've got a public
Wrong
hearing.
one.
Public hearing minutes that we need to approve. My mistake. Any motion to approve the public hearing of June 10th?
I'll make that.
Okay.
Support.
Support by Clark. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Now we'll get to last month's minutes for the regular board meeting. And what we're saying,
It was the third motion down, because we spent money. I don't know if we need to put in a dollar amount for the data box, or if this is just here for information.
was the data box purchase?
It didn't cost us anything, you pay monthly for him to have it,
Okay,
but that's included in the budget already.
okay. Does that answer your question?
Sort of, yeah, thanks.
Any other issues? Motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting? Chapman, support?
Support.
Support by Todd, there.
Good job.
Any further comment? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Public comment? Good to go. Reports. Scott is not here. Al is here to ask or answer any questions we might have. Scott's a coach in the Little League baseball game. Anybody have anything for Al? Looks like police report is okay. DPW, Sam.
Everybody has a copy of my DPW operations. Sorry, they're typed out kind of small. The bridge, State Street Bridge inspection has been done, good for 2 more years. That was number 11. And number 12, the wastewater permit has been renewed for 5 more years. Larry, when do you want me to talk about the water meter issue? When you get down to
When we get
action
down,
items?
when we get down.
Okay, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Lyle, campground?
Well, the last couple of weeks have been pretty rough and exciting. It's been pretty much status quo, cutting grass, moving people in, moving them out, taking reservations and so forth. Got involved with the 4th of July stuff over there. I thought it was a pretty good turnout for everybody. It looked good. I also helped a little bit with the chicken barbecue down there, to assist them with getting things around and so forth. Other than that, we've had full house for the last 2 weeks. We got a couple openings right now, they should, we got 5 openings, and they should fill up tomorrow night.
Any questions for Lyle? Thank you. Correspondence. I think you all have one letter here dated yesterday with respect to the reservations of the pavilion. His family's been doing it for years, and they attempted to get the same day that they've always had, and were told that they couldn't do it, so this is a letter that we'll need to respond to, or I will need to respond to. But if anybody would like to throw their 2 cents in, it's fine.
Which pavilion is it?
The big one.
What's the date?
Saturday.
July 23rd Saturday in July, whatever that is. 11/18/25.
In the letter, they say that they were told they couldn't. Do we have a policy that says you can't reserve a year out?
Doesn't that fall the same day as the open fest, the outdoor fest? That's why it's, because that park will be full for that open fest.
I did not tell them that they couldn't reserve. I told them I did not have a calendar and I couldn't take the reservation at that time. I told them to take it, go down here and see where because she had a calendar. That's what I told them.
Is this an open letter to the public, or is it just to the council?
Says to whom it may concern, so it's to the council.
They do state in here that they were told that they can't reserve until May 8th. after the 8th of May, was their statement.
I never told them that. They got a hold of me, I was leaving in the fall. Did not have a new calendar at that time, I told them to down shoe Rachel.
So she's rating on July 7th, but she's talking about something that happened last fall.
She come around after the fact, I did not have a new calendar, and I told her to see Rachel, and with being that I'm moving out, it would be easier for Rachel to take that at that time, because she wanted to go that far ahead.
That makes sense.
Yes, it does.
So that's what happened on that one. I'm sorry to hear that, but what would have happened if we would have taken it and, what would have happened with your, Summerfest?
This came, oh, may I comment?
Yes.
This came up a couple of years ago, and Joe, you called me on that. You said that, either you guys could put up some tents for them, or they could use the Lions Club Pavilion.
Close to that, yes. I said that we would, since we already had the reservations, that we would talk with the Lions Club to see if we could use their building. They'd always been good at letting us in the past. I believe from what I have known with the Lions, that they've said we are allowed to use that building and to maintain it. So I would think that's still.
How many people are they
They
expecting?
got a large reunion, a little pavilion probably would not accommodate.
Okay.
They're good people, they don't get around.
I, as the chamber president, will step into this and say if they want the large pavilion, then they can have the large pavilion. We will take the small pavilion. That's agreeable. Everybody to work together.
It's agreeable to them, that's fine with me. I don't know about everybody else.
Is that gonna work for you?
We'll make it work.
We'll make
This
it
is,
work.
this is where we had that conversation before about being able to plan all the time, and now knowing that your guys' outdoor fest is always that third Saturday in July also, it makes us be able to.
Last year, a business person stepped up and roped it off and they, had their beer tent and stuff, but we can always, we can change. This is no big deal. So keep everybody happy.
You just might want to let them know parking will be an issue,
Yes,
because we blocked that part of the road off
thanks, Sam.
for the outdoor fest.
That's Lake Street, the block off.
Yeah, Lake Street by the pavilion, but you still got state, like everybody parks in their park, wherever they can find one.
Issue solved for the time being, as long as they agree to it, right? We got a notice of Sharon Schultz out of the Treasurer's Department in the county that there's a retirement party for her on Friday, July 17th, 3 to 5 p.m. in the Board of Commissioners room of the county building. And FYI, if anybody would like to attend, I'm sure they will. And then I got another email from the council did, from a woman, I'm not sure where she came from, but she said, I visited the family over the weekend at their beautiful Intermediate Lake house. I also attended the 4th of July parade, which was lovely. One thing that stuck out more than anything was the lack of any ethnic people in the crowd or parade. I made a comment that this has to be the whitest town I've ever seen. What gives? I was very uncomfortable by the fact and also very saddened. I can't imagine how anyone of color might feel walking into your town. She signed it, Kathy. I do have a last name here, but I don't think that's irrelevant. I'm sharing it. I don't know what we can do about it, other than if my brother or sister walks through the door, we'll treat them like we do anybody else, I hope, so.
Yeah, I'm happy to walk uptown every day.
We've had colored people in town, I've seen some children walking around, I don't know if they're live here or what, but I've seen them around. Just trying to
Anyway.
Report them in for next year's,
We'll put out a sign.
better notice from the education.
help.
Yeah.
This is the friendliest white town in America.
Do you write them back?
Yeah, but I don't know what to say. I will respond
Do
to
we
it.
have a census that says what our
Yeah,
population is?
actually, we do, that data's in the master plan, you could just shoot her to that.
Yeah, but
That's the next, how many percents or what else we have here.
I mean, obviously, it impacted her,
yeah.
her ability to see what's going on around here, so.
We've had them in the campground for the last 3 or 4 years.
She has no basis.
And what ethnic is she talking about? So I'm assuming most of it's black because you can't distinguish them from other folks, but, I just, in this day and age, I find it amazing, but that's okay. That's the last correspondence. Committee reports. Street sidewalks and lights, Rob.
Let's see, sidewalks, Sam repaired the sidewalk, across from the school that, over by the water main, the water main that broke underneath it. We did have a street collapse due to, broken, or split water line from last winter on North Street, east of 88. They patched that already. Let's see, nothing on lights. Streets, I've got an action item on G there, and I've got all kinds of handouts for everybody, so I'll just hold off on that until I have the action item. And that's it.
Rod, sewer and water?
Nothing aside from what Sam has in the DPW report. Repaired sewer line on Green Street, in the process of repairing water meters, which he's gonna talk about that. 5 water lines to the light poles downtown. Sewer line to campground, and the water sample was forwarded to the DEQ. Sewer permit's good for 5 more years, so, but nothing catastrophic or nothing.
Thank you, Bill, law enforcement.
As everybody knows, the new car is here and in service, and no big problems so far. Everybody seems to be pretty well pleased with it, and I think it's a nice machine. People get years of service out of it. Other than that, we got Chief Scott's report here, so I think that pretty much covers it.
The only thing I can add is I think there were only 2 complaints on the 4th that he had to address. What they were, I don't know. Melissa, communication?
My report is basically this, as you know, I took that Michigan Planner course over, basically it felt like the whole dang summer, but I've written up a little synopsis that I'll just read quick. I need to do this so that I can get my Master Planner certification. I'm required to give you this quick spiel. Yeah, so here it is. Starting in April and ending in June, I attended training entitled the Michigan Citizen Planner, Fundamentals of Planning and Zoning. This is a land use and certificate course for volunteer land use decision makers. It was developed by Michigan State University and taught by MSU regional office staff as well as PhD instructors from the university. The class was from 6 to 9 each week, total of 21 hours in training. The cost of the class equated about $13 per hour for the instruction I received. The next step for me is presenting this capstone project to you. Then I take an online exam to cover the material studied in the course. On completion of the exam, I get the Master Planner certification. To maintain it, I've got to take some minimal CEU credits from MSU. Once I pass the test, I'll get the certification within 10 days. I believe the class was very valuable and wish that more of us could have attended. There was a lot of stuff in this that I had no clue on. I mean, you see this book here, and it's very intense, and it was thankful it's over. But I would do it all again just to get the information out of it. You can see here we did introduction to planning and zoning, legal foundations, roles and responsibilities about the master plan, planning implementation, best practices for innovative planning and zoning, and the art of community planning. So if anybody really wants to look at this, here it is. But it was a really good class, and thank you to everyone for letting me go to that. And then the other thing I have to add is we have the new brochures out. If anybody hasn't seen these yet, then there they are for the campground. They're all spread around. And that's all I got.
Joe, finance personnel?
We've looked over the revenue expenditure, we look to be pretty good in it. I've got some questions on some bills that I've seen pop in today. One is Melissa stated the brochures for the campground, well, we got a great price on them, much better than what we paid last year. When did the council approve purchasing these brochures?
I had the authority to do it. The council approved it a year ago.
So now, we approved it a year ago to
To go
purchase
ahead and
these?
purchase the new ones, yes.
That was approved a year
Did we
ago,
purchase
and-
250 of them last year?
We approved,
We ran out, and it was approved before I went home last year to take and get them, and nobody done anything with them now.
Okay, so it was approved then, that's my
yes,
question.
yes, it was
Okay.
approved.
Okay,
And we got a better deal even with the 500 than we would have with the 250.
you're right, because you already had the
Right.
template for it, okay. And my other one would be in our lawyer's fees. We just received a bill, $217 to review administrative documents, telephone call to the village president regarding matters, review statutes, memo to the village president regarding issues raised. What documents are we having the lawyer look at now?
You'll have a report here when I get to my report. The documents that I had in review were the village administrative structure, essentially is what he was looking at. I gave him the campground host document, I gave him the rules and regs of the park, and online he accessed our policy, procedures, and guidelines.
And again, I guess again, I would ask that same question, when did council discuss sending these things to a lawyer to spend
Council
taxpayer
didn't.
money?
Council didn't. This is, my authority gives me the authority to keep track of the affairs of this village. And I saw something that happened that I didn't like, and I wanted this information in order to come here tonight.
Okay. And that's the end of my report.
Philip, Park?
Well, we've had a couple of problems, but it'll be brought up into the action item. So I think I'll reserve any comment until then.
My report, I'm gonna pass out the information that the attorney, summary of what information I have asked him to look at. And I will read it to everybody. And we can discuss it. Yeah, I think you got one? Everybody have one? Okay, general review of the village administrative structure. Pursuant to your request, I have conducted a general review of the village administrative structure. Specifically, I have reviewed some job descriptions in the village council policy, procedures, and guidelines handbook. The following is a general list of my findings. There are many inconsistencies throughout these documents. For example, you provided me a job description for a position entitled campground host. The park rules refer to this individual as park manager. Finally, their policy refers to this individual as the campground manager. I found that the job descriptions reviewed did not specify who the immediate supervisor is for the employee. I also found in the policy where the village specifies the 6 standing committees of the village council. The policy, however, does not specify any administrative authority of the committees and the committee chairpersons over village employees under the jurisdiction of the committees. Under Michigan law, MCL 64.1, the village president shall exercise supervision over the affairs of the village. The statute, however, does not specify whether the affairs of the village include the supervision of village employees. Generally speaking, an individual council member does not have authority to act on behalf of the village unless expressly delegated that authority by the council. The authority of village council member can only be exercised at council or committee meeting through the votes of the council or committee itself. When the village council was considering whether to have a village administrator, I explained that there were 2 different administrative structures that could be implemented. First, a village administrator could be established. Under this model, the administrator would be delegated the authority to oversee supervise, and discipline village employees. The second administrative model was that these functions could be exercised by the village president and/or the village council, either as a whole or through its committee structure. Because the current policies do not specify clear administrative responsibilities, particularly as they relate to village employees, it is my recommendation that the council discuss how it desires to supervise village employees. Once this policy decision is made, I would be happy to prepare appropriate amendments to the village policies to implement this decision. If you have any questions or need anything further concerning this matter, please let me know. The only thing I asked him was if he cared if I shared this with the council and the public tonight, and he said he didn't have any problem with it. This was done because I have, for almost 7.5 months, dedicated my job in this position to somehow heal the division that was going on prior to my election. And this all boils down, from my perspective, to a single decision that has and still persists to continue to divide and cause an atmosphere of mistrust and really a bunch of crap that we shouldn't have to deal with. That decision was to hire a clerk treasurer, but then give that person the administrative authority to manage the village. That decision in itself, and it's not a reflection on Rachel. From my perspective, Rachel was put in a position that she was a no-win situation. The decision was made without her having any administrative or supervisory experience. And as it was so aptly put to me early on, is that they wanted her, and they, I'm not sure who they are, other than at least the past council prior to my getting here, wanted her to grow into this position. The reasoning was we'd been through 6 or 7 clerk treasurers, and it was time to get somebody that would stay here, providing her with an income that she could live from. That's fine and dandy. I have no problems with that. Other than the fact that the decision divided this community, and I think the community statement last fall said, we're tired of it. I get elected. If I listen to everybody complaints prior to getting here, Rachel probably wouldn't be sitting here tonight. When Mr. Bodley called me about 10, 12 days ago to explain that he was giving me a heads up that the park manager, who we call host or campground manager, was having problems with a bunch of the campers down there. And rather than go to Lyle and say, what was the decision and why did you make it, Mr. Bodley proceeded to a friend of his, gave him his opinion as to the issue at hand, which was surrounding the fire pits with bricks, which Lyle said you couldn't do. It was a Lyle policy. I have no problem with that. We hired him to do a job. I would like to know why he made that decision. And I think your first move as a representative of this council was to go to Lyle and say, why did you make that decision? But instead, you went down and said, this guy's a friend of mine. And as far as I'm concerned, bricks around the fireplace is no big deal. I think it probably isn't a big deal in the big picture of everything. But it was an action that is dividing this community. We hired these people to do jobs. If you don't support them in that job, then why do you hire them? Any questions or comments?
Can I respond to that?
Sure.
All right, well, first, before you call me out like that, you should probably talk to me and ask me what I told this camper, which is very cleanly, when I stopped and talked to him to sit by his fire, he told me his ordeal and what he had discussed, and I said, me personally, I don't see a problem with it, but I'm one member of the council, and that's a council decision, not mine. You should have called me and asked me before you do this. I had no reason to go talk to Lyle about it, because it wasn't an issue there yet. I called you 10 days ago because I received a bunch of complaints of our campground manager, and it's not my job to police our campground manager, host, or whatnot, it's yours. So I called you to give you the heads up, the courtesy call. So make sure we get our story straight there.
I got my story straight, and what happened from my side.
May I say something on this, please? I have requested Joe to come to me if he's got a problem with Lyle, since I am the part administrative of the group. We have 3 in our council who are handling the park. And we go to Lyle, present him any problems. He in turn comes to us and we take it before the council. And this gentleman swore upon him down that he had talked to everyone on the council, including me, and I called him a liar because he had never said nothing to me. And I understand he is your fishing buddy, fine, but I don't like the reports that I get back secondhand.
The chain of command, in my opinion, goes from Larry to the council. He's the chief administrative executive.
Yes, I agree.
So when I don't have a problem with Lyle. I had campers complaining to me about certain issues. I directed them and told our president about it. It's up to him to relay that to you guys, not me.
I've got 3 questions. 1, quote, you said, Larry, public said we're tired of it. It being the position of clerk treasurer or discord amongst this whole?
Discord.
All right, thank you. 2, on the Joe Bodley situation, it goes back to statement number 5 by the lawyer here, and I'm going to read it out loud. Generally speaking, an individual council member does not have the authority to act on behalf of the village. So that statement alone would exonerate him from going down to him, because unless expressly delegated that the authority by the village council. He did not have the authority to go down and deal with that situation, based on what it says on our lawyer. The authority of the village council member can only be exercised at a council or committee meeting through the votes of the council or committee itself. Which brings me to full circle here. What happens if there is a complaint? Let's say someone levels a complaint against Scott and stops me. That Scott, I don't know, whatever he did. What's our next move? That's the bigger picture.
That's a good question.
Agreed.
I think that's where we need some more input from the attorney to clarify our roles and clean up what's already out there to be consistent with all of that.
I myself feel very uncomfortable telling any of these employees what to do. That I don't think it's my place at all. If they want to tell me something, I'll sure will listen, but if someone comes to me and it levels a complaint, I'm gonna try to sidestep it, and I told you. And I ended it there, and that's where we have to be right now, is figure out item number 5. And then number 3, the Lyle policy, will go on from there. So those are my 2 questions.
Anybody else?
I'd like to answer that wreck situation down. Originally, we had stones around the fire pits down there. We got rid of the stones down there because of the kids taking them away from the fire pits and so forth, and put fire rings on. And that happened several years ago. 3 years ago, he come to me about bricks around the mentioned it to Sam. Sam said we had stones around the fire pits at one time. We got rid of those. Those are a hazard as far as I'm concerned when they start cutting the grass and cleaning up sites when they leave and so forth. A clay brick is a fragile brick. And if they get broke and people walking through there and stepped on, the little kids and what have you, they cut their foot, who's responsible? It's not bad for one site, but you know as well as I do that things will be caught up by the other campers. They don't clean their sites up. This individual don't even clean his site up when he leaves. George Molsky comes over and moves his trailer. There is 2 tires down there yet that he didn't take out of there, tires and wheels. I asked him to take those out of there the first week that he was there. I asked him to remove that. This spring, I removed 13 blocks out of there and piled them up behind the fish cleaning station to clean that site up. I took the steps that Sam was good enough to loan this individual when his wife had a broken hip. They sat there for 3 years and I took them up myself and got them back to Sam. Correct, Sam?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. There's some of the stuff that I do down there for the welfare of everybody. And I think that everybody should have the same opportunity. Those campsites is what the next guy. No one is any better than anybody else. I know that you were in the middle of the conversation with regards to moving a trailer and repositioning a trailer. I might as well answer that right now too, because I did that for 2 reasons. I done that so the individual camper on site 12 could have a view of the water on both sides of his trailer, rather than look directly at the back of the trailer, the back side of his trailer. I also done that so I can set up that computer there and see the bathroom doors up there, and seeing the coming and going along that back road sidewalk up to the bathroom. And that's my reason for it. And I try to do the best I can down there, and I am going to get some complaints, but I have got a problem with an individual board member stepping in and getting in the middle thing. If you got a question, I think it's personal courtesy to take and come directly to the person involved. Bill and I've had discussions, Rob and I've had discussions. Rob, I have no problem answering anything. And I think that all the board members should give me that respect. I'm sorry. I know you got a list of complaints that you're gonna be looking at, but I can tell you right now that I've had a chance to, since Larry sat down with me and went over a list of complaints, I've had a chance to take and talk to 3 different individuals. And they don't even know how their name got on those complaints. And I got one down there has got a tablet down there with emails directly from one of the people that was supposed to complain. And she was supposed to complain too, and she didn't. So, let me run the campground to my best of my ability, and I will take the heat when I have to take the heat, but I'm sorry. This has gone far enough, and I think we all gotta get back on the same page and work this group. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Can I make a comment on the village administrator position?
Yes.
We've been through this before, and I don't know if it's not what you want to hear or what, but when we hired a village, and anybody in the council was there can disagree with me if you think I'm wrong on this. We never, ever hired a village manager position. We made it very clear we were staying a council form of government. What we were solving was the problem that not one trustee up there or the president has the time to be the person the village goes to 40 hours a week. We can't expect it for what we pay, we never should. We needed that person. That position that Rachel has never gave anybody the type of authority you're leading people to believe. So you talk about an atmosphere of distrust, you're spreading it by not stepping up and saying what's truly her position. Her position was the person that people in this village were able to contact and come to 40 hours a week. They call her on weekends. It was her to watch over what was going on with all the employees that you said you can't expect the trustees to watch over, and to report back to the council the things she sees so the council can make the decisions and deal with it. Rachel in that position have no administrative authority. She can't hire, she can't fire, she can't discipline. So this whole thing of mistrust, if you would just step up and tell people what that position honestly is, you could calm it down quite a bit. And this has been going on since you were elected. You seem to want to attack that position like it takes authority away from you. It never was. There was
I'm
never
not
any,
seeking authority here.
there was never anything taken away from the council other than a person in place 40 hours a week. For years, the village operated, there was nobody operating a ship. There was nobody there. The council met once a month, and the affairs of the village the rest of the week were ignored and not dealt with. Once a month, we'd get together and you'd kick the can down the road for another month. And you'd kick it down another month, and there was nobody there. And people were upset because the council wasn't responding because we didn't have anybody who had a place to deal with it. We created a position, so there's somebody there. There are many people that come in and talk to Rachel. She reports to the council. If there's things that aren't getting dealt with, it's your council's fault, not that position's fault. So that's the only reason she was there, and I personally think it works great, and I think people are happy that they have somebody they can go to 40 hours a week and on weekends. So I just hope it's clear what the intent of the council was when we created a 40-hour-a-week position.
That may have been the intent, but I don't think the public understood it that way.
Then it needs to explain better to the public, is what I'm saying. That's all.
That wasn't necessarily my job when I got here. I was
I
dealing with the
understand.
residue of that decision.
We battled the same thing. The public wanted to turn into we did something we didn't. So I just hope people understand, we never wanted to put Rachel in a position to hire, fire, discipline, correct, anything. It was just that person who was there finally 40 hours a week. It's silly to think the village can exist without somebody in that position to watch over things and report back. You know, nobody expects you guys to do it for what you make. So we had to create a position where you could pay somebody that could be that person.
I disagree.
I'm confused at 40 hours a week, if our hours are now 8 to 4, and you're saying that she's working weekends, and are we paying her for 40 hours a week, or what's,
She's salaried at 40 hours a week.
but in the office 8 to 4, Monday through Thursday? No, I'm confused, I don't understand what
I'm supposed to be
happened.
on call 24/7 with my cell phone, 7 days a week. When I go home, I forward all of my calls from my office phone to my home phone, and I take calls. I document every phone call I take. Am I just supposed to give you guys those hours and not take it off?
No, I don't know where I've seen anywhere that she works 24/7, 7 days a week is my,
So we're the law.
I will show you, you can come
yeah,
to my
I mean,
office
no,
and
no,
look
I
at my
mean,
phone
what's,
log.
are we getting called at midnight or 1 o'clock, or, I mean,
8
I guess,
PM on Sunday night, 9 PM on Sunday night. Campground people calling, wanting to know directions, wanting to know what's available in the area for them to camp at.
why don't they just call the campground? I don't understand what's happening here.
campground
You
doesn't
can't be in the mind of the person
That's,
calling
they took
though.
the phone away
That's
from
conjecture.
Lyle.
Nobody
Speculation.
took the phone away from Lyle.
They
He's
took
got a
it
cell
off the
phone, there's
thing.
numbers everywhere out there.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't on the last brochures.
And the other thing is that, and it was the same conversation then about needing some uninterrupted time to deal with things that need done in the office. So if everybody keeps saying she doesn't work 40 hours, she doesn't have 40 office hours. There's a lot of businesses that way where people's face-to-face time there isn't the hours they truly work. She'll come in and work on a Friday. She'll work late some evening, you know? I just think that makes perfect sense. That gives her that uninterrupted time in the office to deal with the work of the village, the finances, everything else, without the distraction of the public. You know,
I just think it's a perfect
Well, I don't
situation.
think it's the clerk's position to be taking midnight calls. I mean, if the office is open 8 to 4,
And that's why I have the
That's-
administrative assistant position as well.
this is weird here.
I think it's great she takes them. First, you want the people to have somebody to go to, then have somebody go to, now you complain we don't think they should be going to her.
I'm not
I don't
complaining,
understand
I'm
what you
saying I
want.
don't understand why we're having the village clerk taking midnight calls. We don't have an answering machine. If it's a campground issue, call Lyle, or if it's a DPW issue, call Sam.
And I
Why
do forward calls
is
on
this
to
like
people,
this?
But my number is what they call.
All right, so now we've got two issues. The issue of the 24/7 position here, and item number 5 on the lawyer's memo here. The personnel department consists of Joe Bodley, Bill Chapman, and Rob Thayer. Am I correct? How does that fall into item number 5? Are they part of personnel then? Do they do employee evals? Have you folks ever met and discussed personnel issues or no?
Not in a long time. It had been discussed quite some time ago, when job descriptions were done, there was different ones. Sam did his evaluations on his guys, Scott his.
We've talked about this before. I brought this up, evaluations of employees, since I've been on council, and maybe we need to have a hardcore look at what's going on.
Well, I can't think the personnel department, I think Larry has to be there, but you have 4 there, and you couldn't have a meeting because that would violate the Open Meetings Act. So
Well, here,
now where are we at?
my thinking is if we have, like, for example, the Parks Committee, the 3 of us meet, we talk with Lyle, we come back to the board, we make recommendations, on we go. So I would assume that each committee would do those chores, meetings and whatnot to make, it's not up to Rachel to write a policy, it's up to us, right? It's not, we don't task her with writing our policies for us, she may type them up, but she's not creating them. That's our job,
I'm stuck.
am I right? I mean,
Sorry.
so I think really just everyone knowing their roles and who's doing what. I mean, you've heard me say, what's the mission statement of the Parks Committee? What's the Parks Committee actually supposed to do? What's Joe's committee actually supposed to do? And when and how, and do we have any plans for the future, for making evaluations or doing some of these things that we're sitting here wondering about right now?
And concerns of the public about an employee, and that's the crux of the matter.
Amen.
It doesn't matter who it is, you don't need to point fingers. Item number 5 has got to be solved.
Well, I think we definitely need a complaint process somewhere in that, because, people complain to me, I'm sure they've complained to you, but what do we do? I can't just come up here and say, oh, boo-hoo, 5 of my buddies told me that, so-and-so is blah, blah, blah. I can't do anything with 5 words in my ear, but if I have 5 pieces of paper every month from, a complaint, like a letter or whatever, then we have data that can.
That's what this started out as, as I got complaints and I was getting calls from our office telling me that people were coming in complaining. I told her to document everybody and what.
What do you have behind that? Those are written.
These are the complaints that are supposed people who came in, and this is Rachel's interpretation of the conversation she had with them.
Is that through the park?
So has anybody
No,
else
this
on this
is
board seen
Rachel's.
those complaints?
No, but is that
Very
from the
same.
park? Is that complaints from the
It
park
should
itself?
be,
This people, yes, I believe some are from the park and some are from other areas.
then Leila, the chairperson, should see that, don't you think?
Absolutely. The chairperson of the committee should be aware of what's going on. And if I don't know of any of these complaints, I can't do anything about
She
it.
can't talk to us
And-
3 for us to talk
And
about it
again,
and
my
try to find
response when I got
solutions.
these was document it and give it to Mr. Eckert. I called Mr. Eckert and gave him a heads up that I had received a bunch of complaints that Rachel had called me and told me that she had, and I had told her to document and she would get them to him. It's now up to him to do his job and give you guys the information.
my only thought, listening to it, we go back to what Rob said. If each committee has control over their employee, or control might be the wrong word, they evaluate. What is the personnel committee there for then? I mean, I personally think you should have one committee that isn't closely tied to any of them, that evaluates every employee outside of that. Not that, I agree.
I think that
It's
every
been going for
committee
years.
should know
You
what
need to
they're
figure out
supposed to do.
what everybody's doing, every committee's responsibility.
Let me start to look at that in that sentence too, though, Ken, is if you have a personnel committee who isn't involved with any other committee, how do they know whether they're doing their job or not? And how do you evaluate somebody that you're not involved with? So you almost have to have that interaction anyways.
I would think the recommendation from the chairperson should then go to the council. And I think the president should be involved in all these evaluations. And each committee, like Leila just said, she needed to know about that. You need to know if there's a problem with finances, you know? Sorry, Ray.
If there wasn't an adversarial atmosphere when I got elected, Rachel would not have told me that I was coming after her. And you said that,
I still feel that way.
yeah? See?
Yeah, there's,
And you said he's coming after you, and I busted my ass the other direction in trying to get you to trust me to the fact that I'm not coming after you. I've got the village business in mind. When I asked to get you a clerk treasurer, deputy clerk treasurer, no, you don't want one because you're afraid somebody's gonna take your job.
Why do I need one?
Because I don't think the responsibilities that you have, you can do on your own, all of them.
Well, when I come to you with complaints that a council member has come to me and verbally abused me and demanded stuff from me,
Yeah.
and you say, oh, they're getting older and that's just how they are. I feel that
That wasn't her comment, that was his.
that's wrong. I was in a hostile environment. I've been working in a hostile environment since
Guys,
I
I'll-
can't send one.
Go ahead, Rachel, sorry.
between people coming in and demanding things from me and yelling at me and raising their voice at me and sending me emails all the time about requesting documents that are available online. And how am I supposed to do my village job when I'm getting treated this way? And I don't like coming to work because I don't know what I'm gonna deal with the next day.
I'll tell you guys, I'm gonna jump in here, I'm gonna tell you, I have recommended to Rachel, I've suggested that she seeks legal counsel on a hostile work environment and the inappropriate comments that Larry made to her about her being pregnant. So the council is fully aware of that.
What did I
It
make?
is a documented,
Comment did I
it
make?
is signed by another person that they
What
overheard.
comment did I make about you being pregnant?
You said she's already pregnant, I can't hurt her. And it was after a DVA meeting.
And another person heard it, and they signed this document also.
Okay. And there was no hostile environment before I got here. This is all just started? Is that what you're saying?
I,
Huh?
It's not what I'm saying, but it's just
Okay.
gotten worse, it has not gotten better.
You're right, it hasn't.
no, it has.
It hasn't.
And I have.
And that's why I'm trying to do what I'm trying to do. It hasn't gotten better. I didn't know, I had not heard one negative comment about Lyle and the job that he was doing in the park until I get a phone call from Joe and
I'm not making these things up.
I'm not.
You can ask the township clerk or other people that are in this building, how many people come in and out of my office.
Rob,
To
you're
me,
around the
campground.
park and campers, have you heard complaints?
Yes.
Mr. Fair?
And, but I forwarded them right to Larry, so I'm exonerated.
And that is what I did. Same thing.
And I feel that it's
And
part
I'm
of
not
my
perfect.
job to document things and pass them on to you. And what I give you was how I saw